Well, hi there, everyone. My name is Scott Nicholson, and I'm a professor at Syracuse University's School of Information Studies. I also run the Because Play Matters Game Lab, where we make games for schools and games for libraries and games for museums. But on the side, I work on creating board games. I'm a recreational board game designer. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Because board games have the ability to let anyone come to the game table and make a game. Board games take away the screen, take away the need for programming, and are an easy way to get people creating games. So what I want to talk about today is the idea of using board game creation in your classroom. There's an activity out there called a game jam, and a game jam is when people come together to make a game about a topic. And in many game jams, you constrain the time in which people have to make a game. Now, a lot of the game jams that are out there are focused on people who make games for a living, but you can actually use game jams in your classroom. It can be an activity you can do in something as short as a single 45-minute session in your class. The idea behind a game jam is you're going to bring in basic things like some sort of poster boards or large sheets of paper, index cards, dice, movers, and you're going to get the students to create a game that will help them demonstrate something they've already learned in the class. So this works well as an activity to demonstrate something that they've learned before. Put them in groups and give them some constraints. And that's the key to having a good game jam, is you offer the designer some constraints. There's 4 things you can actually constrain when you're making a game. And these are the same 4 ways that you start when you make a game. You can constrain the theme. You could say, we're all going to make games about this topic. And that's probably the most common way you're going to do it. You can make games starting with components. We're all going to make games using this thing. If there's an artifact, something, a measuring tool, some device, you can say, we're going to make games, and the games are all going to feature this thing. You can have things around game mechanisms, such as an auction mechanism. If, let's say, you're in an economics class and you want to have people explore a balance sheet, you're saying, we're going to make games around using this balance sheet mechanism. And you give everyone this basic mechanism that they're going to use to create the game. Or you can have them create games that bring about a player experience, such as a role. We're going to pretend that we are in the Civil War, and we're on this side of the Civil War, and we're playing these roles, and all the games are going to be about understanding the choices people had to make in those roles. And those constraints are important, because if you don't give people constraints, they can get very flustered and wander about, and with a short period of time, you need to help them. So offer up the constraints around which they're going to make the game. And then what you do is you let them start to create the game and give them a time frame, tell them in half an hour, you should have something created. And then you encourage them to test each other's games. You give them some time where you encourage them to teach and test their games to someone else. And then they need a little bit more design time after that, so they can iterate and make it better. And after that process, then they can show what they've done to the class. The nice thing about this activity is you can do it in one 45-minute session, or you can do it in a week, or you can do it in a month. It can be a take-home assignment, but it's the idea of enabling people to create games. And by taking away the screens and the computers, it allows everyone to get involved very quickly. And what's even cooler is it allows the kids to get their parents to come and join them in the process. I've used this activity in museums where we had families come together to make games around a topic, because making tabletop games can be a great intergenerational activity as well. So hopefully this will be something you can think about, that using games in your classroom doesn't have to be something scary, doesn't have to be something expensive. You can do it inexpensively, you can do it quickly without a lot of trouble. At the end, you may find you'll have some great new tools to use next semester when you teach the same topic. I'm Scott Nicholson, and thank you for watching.